Have you ever felt that there are ancient secrets whispering behind the curtain of time? Something forbidden, yet still alive in the dark corners of history. There are rituals branded as taboo, erased from official books, hidden away. But their effects? Still lingering. Hidden facts that make your skin crawl. Imagine a ceremony once deemed immoral by entire civilizations, now repeated in the basements of modern cities. Why are humans, despite all enlightenment, still drawn to the horrific? Because dark psychology is real. Because primitive manipulation still works on the same brain. We're not talking about magic spells that grant instant wealth. We're talking about rituals as psychological devices, human experiments on themselves that trigger unexpected responses. Obedience, fear, blind loyalty. Whoever controls the symbols controls meaning, and whoever controls meaning controls the masses. There was once a ritual banned by both religion and state. They erased it from public records. But imagine a small group still practicing it, not for supernatural power, but to test human limits. How far can someone be manipulated when fear is fused with the promise of secrets? Have you ever felt guided by an unseen hand? History is full of groups using symbols, sound, and fear as weapons. They weren't always robed sorcerers. Sometimes they were scientists, leaders, or businessmen exploiting simple rituals to instill belief, or guilt, that couldn't easily be erased. Dark fact! These ancient techniques often worked better than modern propaganda. Why do almost all people fall into this trap? Because the human brain craves patterns, rituals, and stories. When an action is repeated in a sacred context, the brain rewards it strangely. Relief, certainty, identity. That's the fuel of a cult, or a cunning social experiment. Some practices were branded forbidden, not just because they were physically dangerous, but because they revealed something too honest about human nature, that we long to be guided, that we fear uncertainty, and that we surrender too easily to promises wrapped in mystery. Some may laugh at these claims, dismissing them as mere myths. But can we ignore the evidence? Texts secretly copied, symbols resurfacing across generations, people claiming they found peace after performing forbidden rites. Isn't the silence between these facts itself suspicious? In darkness, these rituals function like maps, not to holy places, but to the deepest cracks of the human soul. They are repeated experiments on fear and hope. They expose our most fragile side, and the easiest part to exploit. So, do these rituals truly work? It depends on the definition. If work means reshaping how someone sees themselves, forcing them into obedience, or stripping away free will piece by piece, then yes, they still work silently and effectively. Should we be afraid? Maybe. Or maybe we should be more aware, more sensitive to the mechanisms being played behind the scenes of our social lives. Because knowing the secret is the first step to not becoming the victim. And after this, you will never see the world the same way again. Imagine this, a ritual so old that even its origins are lost, yet its shadow still creeps into modern boardrooms, political rallies, and even the digital screens you stare at every day. You think rituals belong only in temples or caves? Wrong. They've mutated. They've been repackaged. And now, they control you in ways you can't even see. Take the ancient practice of chanting. Thousands of years ago, tribes gathered around fire, repeating words until their minds collapsed into trance. Today, stadiums filled with thousands chanting the same slogans, the same anthems. Do you think it's just entertainment? Or is it the same ritual, disguised, bending your psychology without you noticing? Dark psychology works best when hidden under normality. A ritual isn't scary when it wears a mask of celebration, but the result is the same. Obedience, unity, the suspension of doubt. Isn't it terrifying that the same techniques that once summoned gods are now summoning consumer loyalty, political power, and mass hysteria? There are forbidden rites that used silence instead of sound. Yes, silence. In certain cultures, initiates were locked in absolute darkness for days, stripped of food, left alone with nothing but their thoughts. Most broke down. Some claimed visions. Others became loyal servants for life. Tell me, when was the last time you were truly alone with your thoughts? Could you survive that silence, or would it break you too? Another ritual was about sacrifice. Not always blood, but sometimes reputation, possessions, or even sanity. Groups demanded proof of loyalty through acts that seemed impossible, even grotesque. Once someone gave up what mattered most, they were chained. Not by rope, but by psychology. Because once you've sacrificed everything, how can you walk away? Isn't that the same mechanism that traps people today in toxic relationships, cults, even corporations? Forbidden, hidden, erased, but still alive. The truth is, rituals work not because of magic, but because of the brutal architecture of the human brain. We crave meaning, or we want to belong, and we fear isolation more than death. Leaders, ancient or modern, understood this. That's why they used rituals as tools, as experiments. And guess what? The experiment never ended. You are still part of it. Let's talk about mirrors. Some banned rituals involved staring into reflective surfaces until the face seemed to shift, blur, even melt. Participants claimed they saw their true self, or even spirits staring back. Delusion? Maybe. But psychology today knows the truth. Stare long enough, and your brain begins to hallucinate. Isn't it horrifying that ancient rituals tapped into these mental glitches centuries before science even named them? Or what about firewalking? Cultures used it to prove faith, to test courage. Today, motivational seminars still use it. People walk barefoot across burning coals, convinced they've broken human limits. But here's the dark secret. The ritual isn't about walking on fire. It's about surrendering fear, about proving to yourself that pain is an illusion. And in that moment of surrender, you become easy to mold. Ask yourself, after breaking one impossible barrier, what else would you agree to do? Do you see the pattern now? These rituals, banned, erased, demonized, still work because they target the same vulnerabilities in every human. Fear, hope, identity, belonging. The wrapping changes. The names change. But the machinery is eternal. Maybe you think you're safe, that you're rational, that you can't be fooled by ancient nonsense. But pause. Look at your routines. The morning coffee, the daily scroll through your phone, the way you repeat certain habits without questioning. Isn't that a ritual too? And who benefits from it? Do you, or the system that keeps you repeating? Some rituals were so terrifying, they left scars in history. The ordeal by water, where accused witches were thrown into rivers. If they drowned, they were innocent. If they floated, they were guilty. Absurd. Yes, but here's the dark part. It worked as social control. Everyone feared accusation. Everyone obeyed. Do you think modern society is free of such ordeals? Or are we still subjected to digital trials, public shaming, and reputational executions? Different tools, same psychology. Others involved dream manipulation. Priests would induce strange states with herbs, sleep deprivation, or chants until visions appeared. They claimed these dreams were messages from the gods. But now, neuroscience tells us the truth. Dreams are unstable, easy to manipulate, easy to interpret however authority wants. Isn't it disturbing that an ancient trick is still alive in therapy rooms, advertising, even entertainment? Here's the most chilling fact. Rituals don't die. They adapt. They survive bans, censorship, and centuries. They shed skins like snakes and slither into new forms. The hidden truth is this. You're already participating in rituals every single day. Only difference? You don't call them rituals. You call them culture, tradition, motivation, or even lifestyle. So are these rituals still banned? Officially, yes. Publicly erased. But in reality, they are everywhere. At the edge of politics. In the heart of marketing. Inside religion, philosophy, even self-help seminars. Forbidden doesn't mean dead. It means hidden in plain sight. And now, the final question. If these ancient practices still work today, shaping minds and bending wills, then who is using them on you right now? The answer is darker than you want to believe. Because once you see the ritual behind the mask, once you realize you've been a participant all along, you can never return to ignorance. And after this, you will never see the world the same way again.